I'm going to get into Joe Budden podcast. Parks. So they were talking about, Drake, Rick Ross beat, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and just going in a lot of stuff. And I'm going to try to play a clip from the Joe Budden podcast. Sometimes they're copyrighted, so if it's not in the video, you guys know why, right? But basically what Parks said, Parks is part of one of the guests on the Joe Budden podcast. What he said is Rick Ross ja ruled 50 Cent, and 50 ended up doing movies and TV shows and fell off musically and moved them out of the music business, right? That's what Parks said. Joe Budden pushed back. Flip, I think his name is Flip from Queen's Flip. He pushed back, and I don't know who else was on the program, but to give credit to Joe Budden's podcast, they pushed back a little bit on it. We're like, what are you talking about? Parks, who needs to really park his opinions and never fucking voice them again, doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, talked about something that he has no idea about. And I'm going to break it down for you guys because he clearly has no idea what he's talking about. Rick Ross never ja ruled 50. Rick Ross never made 50 quit. And 50's dominated Rick Ross in different aspects of music in 2009 till now. I'm not even bringing up 50's prime in his career because we all know that washes Rick Ross 20, 30, 40, 60 times over. That's not even a question. Get Rich or Die Trying has done Rick Ross' whole career. That one album has done Rick Ross' whole career. So we're not even talking about pre-2009. We're not talking 2008 until 2003. We're talking 2009 to 2023. That's what we'll talk about. Because all of a sudden, people say 50 fell off after the Rick Ross beef, and Rick Ross clowned him and cooked him, and Rick Ross's career skyrocketed, and Rick Ross is hot, and 50 fell off, and nobody gave a fuck, blah, 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 blah. All this narrative bullshit that I hear, this culture, Rick Ross is dominating the culture. Everybody was bumping Rick Ross. Rick Ross was the hottest shit, period. That's the illusion that got you guys twisted. It's an illusion. Want to know why it's an illusion? Rick Ross surrounded himself at the time with everybody that's hot. Drake, Lil Wayne, Diddy, who was doing numbers with Last Train to Paris with Diddy Dirty Money. What did Diddy say around that time? Oh, Rick Ross is the new Biggie. I never heard any. After Biggie passed away, I don't know who could replace Biggie. Well, Rick Ross is doing that. You can find articles of that all from 2009, 2010. That's why 50 hates Diddy as well, because he was pushing that bullshit narrative of Rick Ross is the next Biggie, and Rick Ross is this fucking MC that matches Biggie. No, Biggie did diamond. Rick Ross barely goes fucking platinum. Barely goes platinum. And we're talking about Rick Ross as if he's Biggie. That's a spit in Biggie's face. Diddy should be ashamed of himself for doing that. But it was all a narrative to get 50 out the way. That's all it is. That's why 50's clowning Diddy day in and day out. That's another narrative. That's another reason why 50's clowning Diddy day in and day out. It's a whole different conversation. But let's go over the numbers. I don't care what you experienced in 2010, 2011, 2012 with Rick Ross. Don't get it twisted because Rick Ross was featured on DJ Khaled's I'm On One or Pop That French Montana or all these featured on records. Kanye West's Devil in a New Dress, Monster, and all these records. Don't get that twisted. That Rick Ross is this hot guy who does these numbers and he was boiling hot and blah blah blah. Don't get that twisted. Because that's a false persona as Rick Ross' whole career is. Let's get into the numbers. Let's get into years later. Now we can look back and be like, okay, what happened? In the moment, Rick Ross hot, BMF, Buff, and all these records, Teflon Don and Maybach Music Group is doing all these numbers and blah blah blah. Okay. Years have gone by. We're 14 years down the line. We're 15 years down the line. Let's see, because I broke this down number by number. I took my time on this bitch to break it down for people, to break it down for Parks, who needs to park his fucking opinion on this to the side fucking curb. I don't want to hear never again from Parks or any fucking moron that says, hey, Rick Ross ja ruled 50. And the fact that Parks said, look, this is the funny thing. Parks clowned 50 for having hit theme music from TV shows. You know how hard it is to get a hit record off of a theme TV show? Think about the last time a theme TV show was a hit record. Think about that. That was another thing that Park said that was stupid. So, let's go over the numbers. These are Spotify streaming numbers. Apple Music, unfortunately, doesn't have their numbers out there like that, but Spotify does. And this is the funny thing. Let me put in perspective how much 50 has considerably throughout the years beat Rick Ross and has still impacted in today's time. Rick Ross has never in his life impacted hip-hop like that. Has he had a hot verse here and there? Has he had a moment with a song here and there? Yes. Has he impacted hip-hop? Have new artists said, I fuck with Rick Ross. He is my favorite artist. I was inspired by Rick Ross. No. Not a single one. Show me the artist that says that. Go to the interviews. Kendrick doesn't mention Rick Ross' inspiration. J. Cole doesn't mention Rick Ross' inspiration. Drake never mentions Rick Ross' inspiration. Trippie Redd, NBA Youngboy, Chief Keef, Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke was literally a 50 Cent 2.0 version, a different, newer, younger, literally a fucking offspring of 50. Do we have an offspring of Rick Ross? No. No. Nobody wants to be Rick Ross. Rick Ross does not sell, does not impact like that. Where do you guys get this from? Where does this narrative come from? You guys got tricked by Diddy claiming he's the next Biggie. You guys got tricked by him being surrounded by Lil Wayne, who actually influenced. Go ask the newer artists. They'll say Lil Wayne influenced. They'll say Drake influenced me. They'll say Kanye influenced me. They'll say 50 Cent influenced me. They'll say Eminem influenced me. They'll say Jay-Z influenced me. They'll say Nas influenced me. They will never mention William Roberts, a.k.a. Rick Ross, as an influence. Never. Find me the interview. Find me it. But we can't. That's the problem. We can't. And there's this narrative that the bullshit narrative, Parks, and anybody else who throws this weird-ass narrative that this guy is hot, this guy was bubbling, this guy was moving units. When all the albums went gold, singles barely went platinum, we'll get into that. 2009, the year that the beef started. Rick Ross dropped Deeper Than Rap, 50 dropped Before I Self-Destruct, right? Okay. They did roughly the same in first week sales. Roughly. Let's say 150,000 each. Roughly. It was like, 147,000, 151,000, whatever. 150,000, same. Mind you, 50 Cent Before I Self-Destruct leaked 1 month earlier. That's the number one thing. But Deeper Than Rap didn't leak. It leaked like probably 3-4 days earlier, if that came out. 50 had to deal with leaking. The album, all the album came out, clean version, and even dirty version came out a couple of days later. They had to adjust the dates because the album's supposed to come out like November 23rd, and they got pushed to November 16th, November 9th from iTunes, and a bunch of bullshit. Mind you, a movie was added to that album, so 50 is already focusing on movies and TV shows. Dealing with Jimmy Iovine, by the way. At this moment, it was dealing with Jimmy Iovine, who was the CEO of Interscope. 50 wanted to push his own headphones, SMS Audio. Interscope turned into Beats by Dre Records, where if you weren't with Beats by Dre, Jimmy Iovine didn't give a fuck about pushing your music. So 50 was dealing with that behind the scenes. While dealing with that, he still sold more than Rick Ross. First week numbers came out the same. Eventually, Before I Self-Destruct went on to go gold. Hasn't been certified platinum, but as of now, if it got updated in terms of sales, it would be platinum. Deeper Than Rap has not, I think it's gold, if that. Let me see. Deeper Than Rap, Deeper Than Rap, Deeper. Yeah, I don't see anything for Deeper Than Rap, guys. Maybe it didn't even go gold. Yeah, nothing for Deeper Than Rap and RIA certifications. 50 Cent's Before I Self-Destruct was certified gold in 2010. So as of now, we can assume, we can assume that it's platinum. This is January 21st, 2010. The album came out in November 2009. 2 months, within 2 months, it was gold. Right now, we can assume it's platinum, potentially even double platinum. I don't know. But, hey, went gold. That's the same year they both released. Cool. Here's the funny statistic. This is a statistic that shows you Rick Ross does not have impact. Rick Ross is not somebody that people are listening to day in and day out. Rick Ross is not this artist this picture has been painted of Rick Ross completely dominating 50. When it's not. The numbers prove otherwise. Before I self-destruct, daily streams does 629,934 streams daily on Spotify. Okay, let me just is that the bomb?
He did that.
There's the bomb. Let me just explode your brain here. Right? Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The last 10 albums that Rick Ross has released from 2009 till now add up to 440,379 streams daily. 10 albums into one of 50's. By the way, this isn't 50's biggest album. We're not talking before 2009. We're talking 2009 and after when the beef started. 629,000 streams versus 440,000 streams. 50's doing what? What is 50 doing? Almost 200,000 more streams off one album. By the way, I've added the best numbers, Deeper Than Rap, 35,000 streams, 852 daily. Teflon Don, 155,000 streams, 695 daily. Rick Ross, God Forgives I Don't, deluxe version. I added the deluxe because if it's not deluxe, it would have been less streams. But I added deluxe. This is giving better from the doubt, right? 52,318. Rick Ross Mastermind Deluxe, 53,819. Rick Ross Hood Billionaire Deluxe, 8,532. Rick Ross Black Market Deluxe, 17,338. Rick Ross Rather You Than Me, 19,174. Rick Ross Port of Miami 2, 39,070. Rick Ross Richer Than I Ever Been Deluxe, 29,602. Rick Ross Too Good to Be True, 82,796. That's with Meek Mill, by the way, collab album. That all totals up to 440,397 streams. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's one album, Before I Self-Destruct, the album that everybody considered 50 fell off, isn't doing numbers, it's garbage, fell off after that. Nobody gives a fuck about 50. Rick Ross Ja ruled them. 629,000. So who had impact? We talking impact, right? We're talking hot. We're talking moving the needle, becoming the new thing in hip-hop. Rick Ross failed at doing that. Failed. The numbers prove it. If you don't want to go off the numbers, you want to go off culture, you want to go off what you experience, I don't give a fuck about your opinion on what you experience. That doesn't dictate shit because your experience is different from another person's experience. It's different from another person's experience. We don't bump music just in the clubs. We don't bump music just at fucking grilling events. We don't bump music in public areas all the time. We go to gyms where we have headphones on, where we listen to our own music. We go in a house, comfortably listen to music, where we don't, not everybody fucking listens to what we listen to and can hear everything that we listen to. We bump music in our car, privately. Come on, guys. Come on. And Rick Ross Ja ruled? 50? Don't do that. Don't push a false narrative. Don't push it like, oh, Rick Ross made 50 get into TV shows and movies. That was not the reason why. Jimmy Iovine told 50, listen, you're pushing SMS audio. We ain't fucking with that. We're pushing Beats by Dre. You know what you should do? This is what Jimmy Iovine told 50. Get into movies and TV. You're done here. We're not going to help you. 50 had success outside of Interscope Records. Think about that. Outside of Interscope Records, 50 had success. And I'm going to prove it to you why. This is outside. I'm going to show you. Outside of Interscope Records, 50 had success. So what does that tell you? That in Interscope, he was having pushback. He was having blackmail. Jimmy wasn't fucking with it. Meanwhile, Rick Ross is getting pushed by Def Jam to be the next Biggie. Day in and day out. All right, let's go. So, what I did, year after year from 2009 to 2023, what I did, year after year, was put up their biggest songs, whether they were the owner of the track, meaning Rick Ross featuring or 50 Cent featuring, or whether they were just featured on the track. Mind you, Rick Ross had a lot of records that he was just featured on that were hot, that weren't even his. I'm just letting you know that. A lot of the records that 50 was hot in was his records. But that's just whatever. Who cares? I'll put everything into one pot so people don't say, oh, Quake, you decided to select these type of things because it makes 50 look better. No. Listen. Giving it as best as I can, fair as possible. 2009. Biggest records in 2009 from 50. The biggest record from Rick Ross in 2009. 50, Baby by Me, does 605,000 streams daily. Daily. Have a baby by me, baby, be a millionaire. Daily. What did Rick Ross do in 2009? What's his hottest record in 2009? Magnificent. Guess how much streams that does? Just guess. Throw it right now. Throw it out your mind. 8,096 streams. We're talking 605,000 versus 896,000 streams. Oh, but Quake, that record impacted culturally. I don't give a fuck about that. What are people listening to right now on their phones that they're clicking on and bumping every single day? 605,000 people every day are bumping that record. Baby by Me, Have a Billionaire, whatever the fuck. Mastermind, 8,000 people? Okay. 2009, 50 washes them. Let's get into 2020. Now, both in this year, it was other artists that gave Ross and 50 their biggest hits. So, Kanye West, Devil in a New Dress, featuring Rick Ross. As of today, it does 321,000 streams. It is 2 times platinum, though. Jeremiah, Down on Me, featuring 50. This is in 2010, when Rick Ross apparently ja ruled 50. This is the narrative that's out there. 2010, Down on Me, 178,000 streams. But it's 6 times platinum. By the way, this 6 times platinum is Rick Ross's highest platinum ever in his career, regardless if it's his own track or featured on. And that's thanks to Drake. Money in the Grave is 6 times platinum. And that's thanks to Drake. 50's got in the club. That's Diamond. So we're in a whole different field, but we're not counting that. Let's just skip through that shit, right? Before 2009, we can't count that. Come on, man. 50 fell off in 2009 and later on. We can't count them before that. Okay, so Jeremiah, Down on Me, 178,000. Kanye West, Devil in a New Dress with Rick Ross, 321,000. One's 2 times platinum, one's 6 times platinum, whatever. We'll give it to Rick Ross. Devil in a New Dress, obviously doing more numbers. It does about what? 60,000 more in streams. Cool. Rick Ross gets that. 2011. Nicole Scherzinger, featuring 50 Cent, right there. Does 9,073 streams. Rick Ross, who, by the way, surrounded by all these hot artists, Lil Wayne, Drake, fucking P. Diddy, whoever's hot at the moment, has You the Boss, that record, featuring Nicki Minaj, at 13,529 streams. What's the difference there? We're talking 3,000 more streams, maybe 4,000 more streams. Mind you, 50 didn't release an album. 50's not featured with hot artists. Was Nicole Scherzinger that hot of an artist at the time? Pussycat Dolls lead singer? No. But 50 still doing numbers with it. By the way, charged it higher than Rick Ross, You the Boss on the Billboard Hot 100, but we're not going to get into that. Whatever, Rick Ross wins that. So 50's got 1, Rick Ross got 2. 2012. Chief Keef, Hey Being Sober, featuring 50 and Wiz Khalifa, 193,000 streams daily. Biggest Rick Ross, anything Rick Ross did in 2012 is Stay Ski Man. Hot record, by the way. I love it. 89,236 streams. So 50's damn near doubled that, but whatever. Okay, 50 wins that. So we're tied 2-2, right? So apparently Rick Ross washing 50. That's the narrative. That's what I'm seeing as a narrative. Right now it's looking pretty tied to me, guys. Mind you, 50's facing label issues. 50 isn't releasing albums. 50's just dropping random records and doing features. That's it. That's it, guys. That's it. Continuing on, 2013. 50 Cent, We Up, featuring Kendrick Lamar, 6,981 streams daily right now, as of now, 2024. Rick Ross, Fuck With Me, You Know I Got It. That's Jay-Z's record, featuring Rick Ross, 16,672 streams. Okay. Rick Ross wins. 10,000 more streams. Cool. Won that. 2014. Rick Ross washes 50 in this one. I ain't going to lie. But 50's now focused on stars, power. 50 Cent, Big Rich Town, does 24,000 streams daily. Chris Brown, New Flame, featuring Rick Ross and I believe Lil Wayne, is doing 138,000 streams. So washes 50 on that. Chris Brown's record, regardless, even though it features Rick Ross, we'll still count it. Fuck it. Rick Ross on the record. It is what it is. 138,000. Washes him on that. 2015. Now, this is where I always point to as like 50's washed Rick Ross. Anything from 2009 till now, 50's washed. Let me show you why. 50 Cent, I'm the Man. Now, it came out late 2015, came out in 2000, like really started getting like with the Chris Brown remix 2016, but whatever. We'll count as 2015 because that's when it was officially released off of a free mixtape on datpiff.com, the Kanan tape. No streaming, by the way, 2015, no streams were counting as actual sales in 2015. That didn't start, I think, till late 2016 or early 2017, somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. Maybe 2016. So streams weren't counting. By the way, this is a free track that came out off of a free mixtape. As of today, I'm the Man by 50 does 96,310 streams daily. Rick Ross, The Devil Is a Lie. That's the biggest record in 2015 that he had any part in any artist, anything. What does that do in streams? 15,442. So 50 washed them there. Mind you, 50 went double platinum on this record. Released independently off Juno Records. No radio push. 50 didn't even give a fuck about the record. Just dropped it. Free off a mixtape. Didn't give two fucks about the track. And double platinum. Double platinum. 2 million sold. Double platinum. Free record. No promo. Let's continue on. 2016. 50, No Romeo, No Juliet with Chris Brown. 9,496 daily streams. DJ Khaled, Do You Mind, features Rick Ross. 42,153 streams. Okay, wins. DJ Khaled's record regardless, but still wins. Okay. 2017. This is where both of them had a really bad year of music. 50 didn't release shit, but one song called Still Think I'm Nothing. Didn't release nothing. 1,870 in streams daily. Nothing. That's garbage. Rick Ross, same type of thing. Rick Ross, I Think She Like Me. 2,286. Rick Ross wins that, but by 500 streams. Not a big deal. 2018. Ed Sheeran released Remember the Name featuring 50 and Eminem. 61,000 daily streams. Rick Ross, Green Gucci Suit. 1,249 streams. 50 watched him there. 2019, 50 didn't release any music for streaming. Nothing. So 0 on there. Rick Ross washes him on this, though. Drake, Money in the Grave featuring Rick Ross does 250,000 daily streams. Destroys him in 2019, of course. 2020, 50 Cent, Pop Smoke, The Woo. 106,000 streams daily. Skip Marley, Make Me Feel with Rick Ross does 3,665 streams daily. 50 wins on that part. 2021, Wish Me Luck was the record that was released by 50, but it's not on streaming. The numbers aren't there, so there's nothing really to dictate on that. DJ Snake, Run It features Rick Ross. That's done 39,000 streams. Cool. Rick Ross wins that. 2022, Is This Love? Eminem featuring 50 Cent. 27,000 streams daily. Rick Ross released nothing in 2022. That counted as streams. 2023, Rick Ross and Meek Mill, Shaq and Kobe, 19,332 streams. Nicki Minaj, Beat Beat featuring 50 Cent, 20,180 streams. 50 wins that. Now, what am I going to go over, right? 50 had 7 times where he beat Rick Ross and streams. Mind you, 50 only released one album. Actually, if we count 2009, 2 albums. So Before I Self-Destruct and Animal Ambition. Animal Ambition was released independently through Caroline, through Juno Records. That's it. No major label push, nothing. He was independent since then. Since after 2013, he finished an Interscope deal. That's it. He released 2 albums. Rick Ross, in this time span, released like, how many albums? Let's see here. Let's actually count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 albums from 2009 to 2023. 10 albums released. 50 released 2 albums. And still, 50 with barely any effort matched Rick Ross year in and year out. And who came out on top of streams. That's not to mention that Before I Self-Destruct cooks all of his albums from 2009 till now in streams. That's not to mention that. Let's just get that out the way. 50 wins in that. Album-wise, over. I get the fuck out of here. It's over. Singles-wise, 50 damn near matched him. Rick Ross had 8. 50 had 7 out of those years. So where is this narrative coming from? Where? That Rick Ross ruled 50. Parks, is there something going on in your brain you just don't understand? Come on, man. Let's go over the RIA certifications. Biggest certifications from 2009 till now is Drake Money in the Grave featuring Rick Ross and Jeremiah Down on Me featuring 50 Cent. Both 6 times platinum. Then if we go look at lead artists with their lead songs, 50 Cent, I'm the Man. No label push. No major artist being featured on it besides Chris Brown on the remix, which helped a little bit. Double platinum. G-Unit Records independent off a free mixtape. Double platinum. Rick Ross's biggest lead song, Aston Martin Music featuring Drake and that singer, I forget her name, 3 times platinum. So yeah, Rick Ross wins in that 3 times platinum versus 2 times platinum. Much, much better. Chart positioning. Drake, Lemon Pepper Freestyle is Rick Ross's highest charting song of his entire career. Period. There's no other song that Rick Ross has ever gotten higher than that song. Drake had to give you your hits. Drake was right on the diss record. Gave you your hits. That peaked at number 3, but stayed there for only a week and then fell the fuck off the charts, but it's the number 3. Jeremiah Down on Me featuring 50 Cent peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100, stayed on those charts, stayed at number 4 for quite some time. And then artists with, now we're going on 50 being the lead artist and Rick Ross being the lead artist. Rick Ross was the lead artist for Aston Martin Music. That was his highest charting song from 2009 till now. That peaked at number 30 on the Hot 100. 50 Cent's highest charting song as a lead artist was My Life, featuring Eminem and Adam Levine. That peaked at number 27 on the Hot 100. So 50 beat him on that as a lead artist. So what's the difference here, really? Like, what's the huge difference? Where is this Ja Rule? Where is this narrative that Rick Ross was this hot artist that cooked 50, that was the hottest, biggest? No. Matter of fact, look at Rick Ross' chart history. Before 2009, he had a higher charting song of his career. The hottest charting record he's ever had in his career was before the 50 beef, and that was The Boss featuring T-Pain. T-Pain had to be on the hook. T-Pain was on fire. T-Pain hooked him up with that. The Boss. That peaked at number 17. That was the highest Rick Ross as a lead artist charting record. So this narrative that Rick Ross got hot, that Rick Ross was this, he was on a next level after beat 50, is false. It's false. You guys got tricked because he was surrounded by the hot artists like Kanye, like Nicki Minaj, like Drake, like Lil Wayne, like Diddy at the time. You guys got tricked. That's all it is, man. You guys got tricked. Rick Ross did not do... His only platinum album was Port of Miami. That came out in 2006. Everything else either went gold or didn't fucking sell at all. So, people are going to throw this narrative out. Oh, culture, this and that. When I was out, I was hearing Rick Ross records here. And I don't give a fuck what you heard when you were out. I don't care. That doesn't make a difference, man. I heard a bunch of shit when I was out. When I go overseas, I don't even hear Rick. People don't even know who Rick Ross is. Have you traveled outside of America? Have you tried that? If you haven't traveled outside of America, you can't really, frankly, speak on any of this stuff. Because the world is what matters, not just a certain section of an area. Oh, well, when I was here in Los Angeles in 2010, I heard Rick Ross's BMF all over the place. Everybody bumping that record. I don't give a fuck what you heard and what your experience was of that. That's your individual experience. The numbers say otherwise. I'm done talking about this bullshit because it's bullshit. You guys know it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. Parks bullshitting. Anybody pushes narrative bullshitting, and I proved it right here. If you want to go over more numbers, we can do that. Not scared of the numbers, baby. Shit, if we talk about 50's career before 2009, we don't even. There's no comparison. Obviously, 50 actually washes a lot of rappers' careers. I'm not even going to mention names because it's going to ruffle feathers, but 50 washes a lot of rappers' careers. And if what Parks said, if Rick Ross really ja ruled 50, then why did 50 have the top 3 highest grossing hip hop tour of all time with Final Lap Tour? If he gets ja ruled, he would never. Surely people wouldn't go check him out. Come on, man. Why would people listen to 50? He got ja ruled. Come on. Can Ja Rule do a tour like that and generate $130 million? Can he do that? No. That's Ja Ruled. Rick Ross can never fathom in his life doing a tour that would generate $130 million unless Drake got attached to it. That's it. But him headlining the tour, never in a million years. They don't love Rick Ross like that. They don't love him like that. There's this false narrative. He can rap. He got a great ear for beats. Now, I don't want to get this twisted. I like a lot of Rick Ross's music. I'm not sitting here and saying the guy doesn't make great music. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a false narrative. Why has this narrative ever been pushed when the numbers are there to prove that it's false? Anyways, I've been on this long-ass tangent rant. I'm going to get back to the podcast of what I was going to be talking about because